Thanks for joining us here on Fox 9 All Day. I'm Courtney Godfrey. Let's jump right into the headlines. Well, firefighters continue making progress on the massive wildfires that are burning in northeastern Minnesota and up along the Canadian border. The Superior National Forest says cooler temperatures and higher humidity have helped crews with the Delta Lake fire, now 50% contained. That's good news. But still, more than 70,000 acres have burned. Nearly 800 firefighters remain on the lines. And officials warn that warm, dry conditions could quickly increase fire activity at any day. And strong storms swept across Wisconsin last night, spawning at least 2 reported tornadoes in northeast Wisconsin. Some reports are up to 4, but nothing that I could find was officially confirmed. The National Weather Service is surveying that damage in parts of Shawano County, as well as some other counties in northeast Wisconsin. But the storms also brought damaging winds, large hail, widespread power outages, with additional damage assessments expected throughout today. And a suspect is now in custody after 3 people were shot and killed inside a St. Paul apartment building lobby. Police say the 30-year-old man was booked into the Ramsey County Jail and murder charges are now pending. The victims have been identified as 25-year-old Nancy Fuentes Zambrano of Inver Grove Heights, 56-year-old Dennis Silcox of St. Paul, and 43-year-old Adam Wilwarding of Oakdale. Investigators have not yet released the motive for these shootings. And today is the deadline for Minnesotans to pre-register to vote ahead of the August 11th primary election. Now, voters can register online, by mail, or in person through the Secretary of State's official site. If you missed today's deadline, you can still register when you show up to vote or during early voting at a polling place, but you have to have proof of residence with you when you do that. Maple Grove Fire Rescue has a new leader after some major shakeups in that department. Bill Abderhalden is taking over as acting fire chief following the resignation of former Chief Madison Zickmund, who stepped down after being charged in connection with an alleged off-duty incident involving a former department employee. The city says Abderhalden will lead the department as it searches for a permanent chief, while emergency services, of course, continue as usual. Golf fans are getting their very first look at some of the biggest names on the PGA Tour as 3M practice rounds tee off today at TPC Twin Cities. World #1 Scottie Scheffler headlines the field, joining defending champ Kurt Kitayama and 3-time major winner Jordan Spieth preparing for Thursday's first round in Blaine. Kara Savage, producer, joins me now. Kara, did you know today is National Junk Food Day?
I did not know that until about 2 minutes ago when you told me.
I did. This is one to celebrate, if you ask me. So I'm curious what your favorite junk food is.
Okay, are you saying like in general, like any junk food?
Yeah, we're talking. They can be drinks, sweets, salty. You know, junk food. Junk food to me is like any food that is highly processed.
Yeah, right. I feel like my go-tos are either ice cream or I really enjoy a spicy chip.
Okay, like Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
Maybe not Flamin' Hot Cheetos. I mean,
Ooh.
yeah, I'll eat a Flamin' Hot Cheeto, but I love like a jalapeno chip. I love the Trader Joe's brand Takis, like the chili lime chips. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay.
I love a spicy chip.
What about, like, I'm a Dots pretzels. Like, I will eat a whole, if you do not stop me, I will eat a whole bag of Dots pretzels.
100%.
And I'm under no illusion that those things are healthy. So, but I don't drink a lot of soda, like a lot of pop.
Right.
But that's kind of my guilty pleasure, is if I'm feeling like, you know what, I'm just gonna have a cheat day, if you want to call it that.
Oh, yeah.
A Dr. Pepper is my go-to. Like, I don't keep them at home. I have to seek it out. Or I'm at a restaurant and I'm like, I'm going to be good. I'm not going to order an alcoholic beverage. So I'm going to treat myself to a Dr. Pepper. I mean, oof.
I love a Dr. Pepper on a hot day.
Let me tell you.
Love a Dr. Pepper.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Pringles, too. There's something about Pringles that just really satisfy the salty need. And I feel a little better because at the co-op in my neighborhood, they sell like a healthy version of a Pringle.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yes, so
But are they healthy?
they're better ingredients.
Okay.
Less ingredients.
Okay.
Still just as good. Yeah, I like something about the texture and the saltiness of a Pringle. Just yes, love it, love it, love it, love it.
Yeah, I do love a Pringle, but I feel like I would much rather have like a classic potato chip than a Pringle, except for the sour cream and onion Pringles. Those are gonna do it for me.
All right, but like would you when you think about like sweet junk food, are you like a Nerds, gummy bears, Swedish Fish, or are you like Reese's, Twix, Snickers? Are you chocolate or are you sweet?
I have a horrible sweet tooth, so I don't have a favorite, but
Do you eat all of the above?
Literally all of the above. Like it depends on my mood. It depends on my mood. But I do the Sour Patch watermelon and the Sour Patch strawberry. Those are my week.
Those are good.
Those are so good.
The Sour Patch watermelon.
Those are so good.
Those are good.
Courtney,
what do the kids say, Kara? Do they say that smacks, or what do you?
I don't say that, but I think that is.
I'm trying to learn, Kara. Help a mother out.
I don't think either of us should say that.
Okay.
Courtney, Pete Hegseth just sat down at this hearing today, and I think that we should take that.
Great. So. This is Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. He's joining General Dan Kane, Chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff. They're testifying before Senate committee today amid escalations in the war in Iran in recent days. The focus is obviously on the Trump administration's supplemental funding request. They are requesting $67 billion to help cover the cost of war. So let's dip into that now live and hear Pete Hegseth testifying before this Senate committee.
Thank you. The supplemental funding request is not a substitute for the president's full $1.5 trillion base budget request. $1.5 trillion.
Stop bombing our children in Iran and Palestine. This is illegal.
Mr. Secretary, please suspend until order is restored in the hearing room. We will begin the timing clock since you've been interrupted twice.
Thank you.
Please proceed.
$1.5 trillion is what the president seeks and what we need to defend the country. The members of this committee understand better than most that long-term strategic dominance cannot be funded through one-off supplementals.
Veterans, call for end to this war right now.
We will have order in the hearing room. Mr. Secretary, please proceed.
Collectively, the budget proposals submitted under President Trump follow a simple logic.
I would ask that the Capitol Police, whose professionalism I admire, remove those who are seeking to disrupt the hearing. Please proceed.
President Trump's following a simple logic. The military requires a generational investment to deliver on peace through strength. We know the best way to create peace is to prepare for war, to deter it. And that's exactly what the Department of War is doing, building a force so capable that it would be absurd for anyone to challenge it. As the direct result of neglected priorities and gross negligence that ignored threats left over from the previous administration, President Trump inherited a set of global and domestic crises, deferred maintenance almost across the board. Instead of steering the ship through gathering storms, former leaders let our military languish through social experiments and globalist appeasement, sheer weakness. Under President Trump, we have built a different type of department. The Pentagon is no longer run by bureaucrats. Instead, it's led by combat-tested veterans and world-class business leaders who are running the department like a business, and tech titans who are bringing lethal innovation to the battlefield. We're also at a different moment, and we cannot afford inaction. If we don't make critical investments right now in tech, in compute, in AI, in autonomy, in space, our adversaries who are already making these types of investments could outpace us. Without these funds, we face critical shortfalls that threaten our ability to also simply pay our service members, rapidly replenish equipment and munitions, and sustain vital operations without disruption. This supplemental request serves two purposes: sustain our military readiness to meet this year's new demands, and accelerate critical capabilities to replace and augment those we have used in contingencies. But make no mistake, this is not a one-for-one replacement. We are upgrading and we are modernizing across the force. On the readiness front, we requested $21 billion. This will fund military pay, replace much of the equipment utilized during recent operations, sustain forward-deployed forces, and grow personnel and strength while stabilizing mission-critical fueled shortfalls and supporting the National Guard. On the capabilities side, we requested $46 billion. These funds will expand production lines and accelerate delivery of high-demand munitions. We're talking about solid rocket motors, JDAMs, hypersonics, and counter-drone capabilities. Additionally, we will use this investment to secure digital and space dominance, including resilient satellite networks. Department leadership recognizes that appropriating those funds is just the first step. Once funds are appropriated, or portioned, to the department, we need to promptly execute on them, and that's why we're requesting targeted legislative authorities, like transfer authority, to prioritize our greatest needs and opportunities, multi-year procurement for weapon systems, revolutionizing the speed and scale of munitions procurement, and New START authorities. Rest assured that every dollar appropriated to the Department of War will be focused on building the lethality of our joint force and reinforcing peace through strength. As I have said before, not fully funding this department, the Department of War, and we know what that means, that means $1.5 trillion, given the world that we live in and the disaster of what the Biden administration budgets gave us. Not funding this department at $1.5 trillion, I believe, is the greatest threat that our nation faces. Either we invest in our warriors at this moment of step change on the battlefield and growing threats, or this is all just talk. I look forward to working with this committee to secure those funds so that our warfighters can continue to do their work every day to keep our great republic safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. General Kane.
Chair Collins, Vice Chair Murray, distinguished members of this committee, I'm honored today to appear before you with Secretary Hegseth and Secretary Rollins to testify on the Department of War's fiscal 2026 supplemental funding request. And I'll note I fondly remember my time at USDA earlier in my career where I had the chance to serve there. I'm also joined today by my senior enlisted advisor, SEAC Dave Isom. As always, I'm deeply grateful for this committee's continued partnership and support for our common defense. I'd like to begin by expressing my deep condolences and that of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the SEAC for the fallen from this past weekend and their families. Today, we remember First Lieutenant Tyler Feehan, Sergeant Michael Swinton, and Private Isabel Gonzalez, and note that the names of our last fallen will be released when we can. I'm humbled daily by the profound commitment of the incredible 2.8 million Americans, just like these names that I've just mentioned, who make up our joint force and serve our nation every day. Also, on behalf of the Joint Force and the Joint Chiefs, I want to express my sincere and heartfelt condolences to the family of Senator Graham for their loss and all of you for the loss of your colleague. The Joint Force remains grateful for his 44 years of service, both in and out of uniform. There is no doubt he made a difference to the safety and security of our nation. On July 22nd, 1940, General George C. Marshall said, and I quote, "For almost 20 years, we had all of the time and almost none of the money. Today, we have all of the money and no time." His words resonate powerfully with me today as we find ourselves in a somewhat similar situation. I've come to you today to request the necessary funds while in the window of opportunity, while time is still on our side. The United States of America faces a global list of military challenges in the Middle East, in Europe, in the Pacific, both nuclear and non-nuclear challenges, and the continued threat of terrorism. We find ourselves living and leading in complex and dynamic times. Our adversaries are aligning in their interests, creating simultaneous challenges across multiple domains. They are sharing intelligence, combat capabilities, and technology that is accelerating the speed of war. It is an imperative that Americans understand that the character of war is changing. Advances in technology are fundamentally and irreversibly changing the way we fight, which necessitates capital to properly arm America's military. Rapid advancements in AI, autonomous systems, deliver critical technological advantages to our national defense and simultaneously introduce unprecedented strategic vulnerabilities and uncertainty across the world, to include right here at home. The low barrier to entry created by affordable, ubiquitous, unmanned systems means our adversaries, rogue actors, state and non-state actors, and violent extremists have access to disruptive and potentially lethal technologies at scale. We've seen this in Ukraine, and we must adopt elements of this fight for our future fights. Conflict is never confined neatly to the land, sea, or air domains. The modern battlefield stretches from the seabed up to cislunar space and beyond, cyberspace, and in the information domain, all at the same time. Our nation must be prepared to fight and win across all of them, all the time, all at once. In addition, the light speed at which information travels now has compressed our leaders' decision space, taking what was once days or weeks in World War II down to milliseconds. Your joint force must be ready because the United States military is America's greatest insurance policy. And I acknowledge all of us find it difficult at times to pay for insurance before we need it. But we must have insurance before the storm comes. The Armed Forces of the United States of America serves as our nation's ultimate safeguard and our insurance policy to preserve, protect, and defend our national interests, security, and prosperity. To uphold this responsibility, we require predictable and consistent funding. This will allow us to partner effectively with our defense and national industrial bases, building on acquisition reforms that guarantee our warfighters receive capabilities at scale before they are required in conflict or combat. I'm struck by this season of American history we find ourselves in, and I continue to ask myself, if not now, then when? And if not us in this room and the rest of the Congress and the nation, then who? I acknowledge the environment we all serve in, but always remember that we are all Americans with deep and abiding love of our nation and our military service members and their families. I've come today to ask for your help and your support. America's armed forces need $1.5 trillion to meet the military challenges of the future. This supplemental is a part of that, and to be allowed to use this capital to pay for military personnel, operations and maintenance expenses, and accelerate investments on critical technologies, as the Secretary just mentioned. It is critical that we stay ahead of our adversaries, and we must have the funds before we're out of time. In closing, I ask all of us to remember our deployed service members around the world right now, especially our Army teammates who remain deployed after losing their friends and teammates this past weekend. And I again ask all of us here in the Senate and across the American people to never forget our fallen and their families, who continue to show us what courage, tenacity, grit, and commitment to the nation looks like. Thank you very much, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Jim.
You've been listening to General Dan Kane as well as Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. They're testifying before a Senate committee today as they focus on a supplemental funding request that has been made. So they're trying to defend the administration's request for $67 billion for the Pentagon to help cover the cost of war in Iran. This, of course, all comes after 2 U.S. soldiers were killed Friday in an Iranian attack. All right, switching gears to events happening back here in Minnesota. More than 70,000 acres have now burned in northeastern Minnesota and just over the border in Canada as nearly 800 firefighters and support personnel work around the clock to try and get these fires under control. All this as the Boundary Waters closure has now been extended to Friday, and evacuations north of Ely remain in place. Joining me now to update us on the condition of those wildfires is Chris Barth with the U.S. Forest Service. Chris, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So, Chris, what are you guys up against right now? What's the biggest challenges that you're facing?
Well, as you mentioned, there's a lot of fires across the landscape. I'm part of an incident management team that's been assigned specifically to the Little Knife Fire, which is in it's entered into Lake County from the Canadian side of the border from a fire that they had during a pretty unprecedented weather condition, as well as some really dry, warm, like I said, dry, warm weather with really dry vegetation, stress vegetation. So again, we're managing the Little Knife Fire, and we're based out of Grand Marais in Cook County. But previously to coming over here, we were also assisting over in Ely with a number of the fires that were there prior to a separate incident management team that has come in to manage those fires again to our west.
So over the weekend and the last several days, you have had some bits of precipitation. Talk to me about if that rain has helped at all in the firefight, and how much more will you need to make a difference?
Yeah, that's a great question. So certainly the weather has been beneficial for short term. And we see that interacting with a lot of the local communities. You know, when the sky clears and there's a little bit less smoke and they're seeing precipitation and rain, they think that it's over, but that's not the case, right? That's a short-term reprieve. The conditions out on the ground, again, there's still fire on the landscape. It's still available to burn. And so as we get into, again, some warming weather, some increased winds, those fuels are still out there and available to burn. So I think all of the incident management teams working together with Superior National Forest and all of our cooperators are poised and taking strategic action to minimize any threat to values at risk in across the landscape, whether it's here in Grand Marais or over in Ely or further out west.
So talk to me about the ground. It sounds like it's basically a tinderbox. Even though you've got rain, everything remains really dry on the forest floor there, creating a very bad situation for wildfires. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so the vegetation, as we've talked about, has been very stressed, very, very dry conditions. Looking at the trees and they provide cover as we're getting some precipitation. So all of the rain that we've had in the last few days isn't necessarily reaching those surface fuels. And that's why, again, they're staying fairly critically dry, available to burn should we continue to get some warmer, drier weather, winds coming into the area. So that's why we anticipate that, again, these fires are not being put out by the amount of rain that we've had in the recent days.
Talk to me about the visibility, because firefighters have been up against it with the smoke, creating challenging visibility conditions. But in recent days, especially where you are in Grand Marais, I mean, it's blue skies outside. Has that helped in the firefight?
Well, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. So it's been great that we have improved air conditions or air quality conditions for local folks with the smoke being lifted out of the area. That being said, again, in our local area where we are right now, that can introduce an opportunity for that fire to become more active. which in turn would produce some more smoke. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. Certainly has been a relief to have improved. I believe that it's rated as good air quality for this forecast area right now. But again, it does not mean that we will not return to some of those poor air quality conditions.
Do you have any indication when the boundary waters may start to open up again? I know that during a press conference yesterday, officials were saying they're going to reevaluate and see if they can start to open some areas after Friday. But what is your indication as to when the boundary waters will start to reopen?
Yeah, I don't have a good answer for that. Again, I know there's coordination that's happening daily, multiple times a day regarding both the fire operations as well as, the weather outlooks, what's happening with our county partners and evacuation levels, air quality. All of that is being discussed across the landscape on a daily basis. And as I said, multiple times a day. Part of that is helping, I'm sure, to inform those decisions, but I couldn't address when there might be a change in the boundary waters, canoe area, wilderness closure area.
Do you expect that evacuations could expand?
Again, as I said, right now, at least again on our fire here in outside of Grand Marais and the Little Knife Fire, the fire activity has been subdued because of the recent precipitation. However, as I said, we think that there is potential for that fire activity to increase, at which point there might be a need to look at reconsidering what the current evacuation levels are. That is a part of a frequent and daily conversation that we have with the counties regarding those. Certainly hope that we do not need to add any additional evacuations, and look at when is the right time to reduce those. Again, it's making sure that our number one priority, which is the public and the firefighters who are out on the ground, their safety is paramount, and making good choices about where we're putting them so that they don't become a part of the emergency, and then protecting those additional critical values that are out there.
Where you're located now in Lake County following the Little Knife Fire, the end of the Gunflint Trail has been put in the set status. So they've been told to be ready to go at a moment's notice. But I'm talking to businesses that are only 15, 20 miles down the trail from them, and they're saying, we're open for business. Come visit. Do you think that's smart for tourists to still be coming up to the Gunflint Trail?
Again, the evacuation, issuance of evacuation orders, it comes from the counties, the local counties, whether that's Cook County over here, Lake County to next to us, or further to the west, St. Louis County. And there are ready, set, and go evacuation levels for all three counties. The area you're speaking about at the end of the Gunflint Trail is under a set evacuation status, followed by a couple of areas under ready. The important thing, I think, again, while those folks are still there, is that set evacuation status should let them know that they need to be ready to go at a moment's notice. And as well, if they feel like they need to evacuate early, that's something they can do. But hopefully those folks that are under a set evacuation are prepared to evacuate should they need to. Again, we have some time and space with the changing weather conditions to continue to make some improvements and get some firefighters in place to help, again, alleviate the threat to the nearby Gunflint Trail corridor.
There's a lot of lakes and trails to explore up there in the Superior National Forest on that Gunflint Trail corridor. Is it okay for tourists or even locals to be out on those trails, portaging, using the lakes right now, even with the fires burning 20 miles away?
I hope and trust that all the folks that are using the Boundary Waters Wilderness area are abiding by the closure. So if we're talking about the areas within the Boundary Waters Wilderness, again, that is under a closure area. And I know that one of the things that's been important to do is make sure that those folks that have been recreating in those areas are out, because again, we, as I mentioned, our number one priority is public and firefighter safety. And so,
but there's so much to explore up there that's not the Boundary Waters. Is that safe?
Yeah, outside, I know that there have been a number of locations identified nearby that are alternatives for folks to do those types of activities. And I don't have a list of exactly what those are, but certainly if there are some areas that are outside of the areas, the fire area, the closure areas, the evacuation areas that folks want to use, certainly, seek some opportunities elsewhere.
You know, we have people watching now who might have a cabin or even a full-time residence in that area, you know, along the Gunflint Trail, where you're in that ready status or even in that set status. Is there anything that they can do to help the firefight and protect their homes? I'm talking like put the sprinklers on, you know, try and reduce the amount of brush that's around the structure. Is there anything that you guys support homeowners doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that comment, because this is a great time for folks to be doing that. As I mentioned, we do have time and space. We do want folks, especially in the set, to be ready to go at a moment's notice should they need to. But because we have a little bit of time and the weather's helped us out a little right now, this is a good time for folks to take those actions. Speaking about the Gunflint Trail corridor specifically, I know that the fire department there has a program working with folks to set up sprinklers. I think that there's quite a representation of Firewise communities up there, which is essentially taking those mitigation actions to helping to reduce the threat of wildfire to those properties should it come through the area. So this is an absolutely great time for folks to make sure those things are in place. And as we said, certainly in the set, be prepared to go at a moment's notice should conditions change.
When we talk about the firefight itself, is there any strategy going on with building trenches or back burning? Is any of that going on where they're trying to fight fire with fire, or building trenches to try and stop a fire line, to build a fire line there?
Yeah, that's one of our priorities right now. Again, we're working to build that strategy and put the right resources in the right place at the right time. So currently, we're going to be sending some firefighters and engines up into the Gunflint Trail corridor to continue to do some structure assessments, kind of along the lines of what we're speaking about, making sure that there's any mitigation in place that needs to happen prior to any change in the conditions. I think additionally, we'll be looking at putting some firefighters into those wilderness areas and looking at strategic actions, primarily connecting some of the chain of lakes through some portages, but that will take a little bit of time to get those right resources in the right place to take action at the right time.
Lastly, you know, when people hear some of these fires might burn until winter, they might feel some concern or anxiousness about visiting the area, even later on in the summer and the fall. What does it really mean when you guys say, well, you know, some of these fires are going to burn until the snow falls?
Yeah, so we define things as you know, when we're talking about getting fires under control, right? We use three terms. We call them contain, control, and out. Those are some of the terminology that we use. So containment is putting some effort in, making some intervention so that the fire is not going to grow any further. Control is we're pretty certain that it's not going to get outside, and then calling something out is more of what we're referring to when we talk about, you know, potentially getting into the snow falling. You know, there might still be some areas within the fire perimeter that do have some heat in them until snow falls on them. But that doesn't mean that necessarily that, you know, these fires are going to be out of control or uncontained until that time.
Wonderful. Chris Barth, I sure appreciate your insight into this massive effort to contain these many fires that are burning up there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, that was Chris Barth with the U.S. Forest Service. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk to one of the directors of the 3M Open taking place at TPC in Blaine starting this weekend. Get a little preview of what to expect from that golf tournament. Stay right there. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on Fox 9 All Day. Some new news into our newsroom just in the last couple of minutes. At the Minneapolis Business, Housing, and Zoning Committee meeting today, the council decided to postpone renewing the liquor license for Rain Event Center. This, of course, is the club, the nightclub, I think it's safe to call it, where there was a mass shooting over the weekend. So the city council has decided to postpone renewing their liquor license. It says that they plan to do a deep dive of 911 calls to that area and see how many are being sourced at Rain before they make a decision. They were up for renewal with about a dozen other businesses when this came about, so they were already looking to renew their liquor license before the shooting happened, but the city council putting that on pause considering the violent events over the weekend. We are still listening to the Senate committee hearing that's going on in Washington, D.C. right now with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and General Dan Kane. This all has to do with the Iran war as the Trump administration asks for more money. They're requesting $67 billion for the Pentagon to help cover the cost of that war. And of course, this comes only a few days after 2 U.S. soldiers were killed in an Iranian attack. Let's dip back into that hearing now live and take a listen to what they're saying.
Let innocent ships pass freely. These international waters belong to all nations, not to Iran to tax, toll, or control. Last week, President Trump said the U.S. would charge a 20% toll to each ship to pass through the state. So based on your opposition to tolls, did you talk to the president out of that idea, or did someone else?
Iran's not charging tolls, and they're shooting at ships right now.
But Trump said that he wanted to charge a 20% toll.
We have a blockade right now of all Iranian ships and Iranian ports, and it's effective.
My time is out.
Senator Murkowski.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and thank you all for being here. Challenging times, I think we all recognize that. Secretary Hegseth, I want to ask just specific to Iran authorization. The administration has made the case that the action in Iran falls under the president's Article 2 authorities, and we can have disagreement. Reasonable people can disagree about the boundaries of the presidential war powers and have for a long period of time. But I look at the War Powers Resolution, and it's not ambiguous. It requires the president to terminate hostilities within 60 days, absent congressional authorization. So hostilities began February 28th. May 1st, Congress was informed that hostilities had ended, but yet despite the fact that hostilities had ended, we were still seeing sailors being fired upon still activity. Then in June, an MOU is signed to preserve the ceasefire while negotiations continue. That MOU has now collapsed, and we are seeing the resumed attacks in the Straits of Hormuz. On July 10, the administration sends Congress a new war powers notification, effectively restarting the 60-day clock again. So I'm concerned about this sequence because you have a situation where the claim essentially allows the president to extinguish the war powers clock just at the moment that it becomes legally inconvenient through declaration of temporary ceasefire. Then it's reset, avoiding the congressional authorization that the Constitution requires and the war powers intends. So we had an opportunity in previous appropriations hearing for me to ask if you felt the administration had all the authority that it needed. You indicated at that time that no, additional authority was not needed. Are you still, is the administration still taking that position about needing no authorization from Congress at this time?
Senator, I know there's a long-standing legal debate on this particular topic, but we certainly as a department share the position of the White House that we have all the authorities necessary at this moment.
So let me just kind of do a follow-on. In the Clinton administration, this is 1999, there was an operation that was launched, Operation Allied Force, NATO airstrikes against Yugoslavia. There was not prior congressional authorization that was sought. President Clinton notified Congress under the War Powers Resolution, and then subsequent to that, sent Congress an emergency supplemental funding request. It was about $6 billion to cover the cost of Kosovo operations. Congress then passed a supplemental package that covered the president's request plus additional military funding. But Congress never passed a standalone authorization for use of military force in Kosovo. When the war powers clock was set to run out then in May of 1999, the Clinton Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel issued an opinion holding that the supplemental appropriation itself, passed without any authorizing language, satisfied the War Powers Resolution requirement. So is the department looking to that or intending to rely on that same reasoning that funding alone can substitute for explicit congressional authorization?
Senator, I would have to defer to our legal department, and we'll get back to you with our views on that. But as of right now, we think standalone Article II authorities exist for us to conduct this operation on behalf of the defense of the American people, that the president has those authorities, and seeking this funding is important in pursuit of that and our $1.5 trillion budget. But I wouldn't connect the two without consulting with our legal folks first.
In my remaining time, let me turn to you, Secretary Rollins. I appreciate that you have acknowledged that fishermen are farmers of the sea. I don't know whether you are aware whether any fishermen will be eligible for any of the supplemental funding. They too have faced many of the same challenges that our farmers have with high fuel costs, the impact from tariffs, disasters that we have seen. In the 15 seconds remaining, any help for our fishermen?
Well, I remember having the conversation with you when we were going through the process, and my commitment to you and to Senator Collins and some of our others on across the aisle was that it's time for USDA to recognize our fishermen as part of our farmers of the sea. That's never happened before. We now have an office at USDA focused on fishermen. And so I think as you all move forward with the supplemental, the conversation, and obviously up to you all what that looks like, but very supportive of treating our fishermen similarly to the rest of our farmers. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Senator Durbin.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Mr. Secretary, I'd like to ask you to help me reconcile some numbers. It's my understanding that this whole supplemental funding request is $87.6 billion, and most of the funding, $67 billion, is for the Department of Defense. Yet we are told the Department of Defense still has $75 billion in unobligated funding from last year's reconciliation package. Is that true?
Roughly correct numbers, yes.
So you've left some change on the dresser before you prepared to come for this hearing. What's going to happen to that $75 billion?
Well, that 75 is, there's plans and designs on that, part of the rebuild of our military, which had to be undertaken. And so the One Big Beautiful Bill gave us specific avenues. I'd have to get you the exact numbers of what that is left to be allocated.
Does it have to do with the war in Iran?
No, this is rebuilding our military from what was not funded in the past under the Biden administration. So this is from 2026, One Big Beautiful Bill, which helped move the president's priorities like Golden Dome for America, move away from all the woke priorities of what the Biden administration was pursuing, give us a chance to start cutting these deals on munitions, all the things that the president wanted us to focus on: shipbuilding, hypersonics. I mean, the Biden administration ignored hypersonics. They just decided to pretend like that technology didn't exist and we shouldn't invest in it. There are things. I don't know what Lloyd Austin did for 4 years. I really don't.
Well, I'm sure
the amount of neglect, the amount of stale thinking and bureaucracy, it was staggering when we took over. So One Big Beautiful Bill gave us a chance to get caught back up.
Let me interrupt your speech for a minute, Mr. Secretary. It's my turn to ask questions. I've been listening patiently while you made your presentation. You estimated at one point that the cost of the war in Iran was $29 billion, but then added a caveat that there was a replacement of munitions, for example. Do you have a new estimate about what the war has cost us so far in the 5th month of the first year of this war in Iran?
Senator, the estimate we have as of today is $37.5 billion.
And is the current activity, which we've been told about, the exchange of fire back and forth in Iran, an indication that that number is going to go up in the months ahead?
Some of that number captures additional O&M, mill pay, and other that would be anticipated through the fiscal year. So some of that anticipates what costs would be going out in the future as well.
So the new number you've given me is what?
37.5 billion, Senator.
And that represents the cost of the war through what period of time?
Through now for certain aspects of it, but also mill pay, O&M, other anticipated costs through September 30th, Senator.
General Kane, let me ask you a question. I joined a group of senators, some are here, Senator Rounds, Senator Coons, Senator Shaheen, and met with President Zelensky in Turkey during the NATO summit. He was very explicit in terms of what he needed to win. He feels the momentum in Ukraine is moving to his side, that he is putting a foot forward instead of back. Is that your feeling?
Sir, I think the pressure that Ukraine is putting on Russia is substantive at this point.
Do you acknowledge his request that we help them with air defenses as a high priority?
Sure, I know he's made the request. Whether or not that moves forward is always a debate at our civilian leadership, but I'm aware of that request.
Are you aware of the fact that we appropriated and the president signed into law $400 billion of supplemental funding for Ukraine, including money for air defenses?
I am, sir.
Are you also aware the administration has informed us that that money will not be available in many aspects until the next president is in office?
Sure, I'm not aware of that. My understanding was that capital had been allocated, but I'll have to defer to my civilian leadership.
I'm sorry to tell you the pay plan tells us to be prepared to spend that money in fiscal year 29. The new president, whoever it may be, will make that decision. If you're talking about air defenses and the momentum on the side of Zelensky, what impact will it have if we cannot fund this for 3 years?
Sure, I want to highlight that the incredible work that the Ukraine industrial base is doing as they scale their own capabilities. It ranges from their surface-to-air capabilities to their air-to-air capabilities. I'll note that recently we had the first air-to-air kill where a Ukrainian F-16 shot down a Russian fighter. So I think their ability to scale their layered defense has come along a long way over the past couple years with the help and assistance of many.
General, thank you for your service to the country, and I'm sorry for our losses. I believe 17 servicemen have given their lives in Iran so far, and hundreds have been injured. We should acknowledge that fact. And let me also say, we're at a moment in history where we can win the war in Ukraine. That victory would be critically important for those people who have fought for more than 4 years against the odds and proven they can put Putin back on his heels. But instead of finding the money that they need now for air defenses, we're putting more money into this exchange with Iran, a war of choice, which we never should have entered. Thank you, General.
All right, you have been listening live to a Senate committee hearing happening in Washington, D.C. right now. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and General Dan Kane have been testifying this morning as they are trying to defend the administration's request for $67 billion for the Pentagon to help cover the cost of war. Just a couple notes of what you heard there. So far, General Kane says that the U.S. has spent $37.5 billion in the war with Iran. Senator Dick Durbin there was just also asking them about a request for supplemental funding to support the Ukraine war. We'll continue dipping into that hearing throughout the day as necessary. I want to switch gears here to things happening back here in Minnesota. The world's best golfers are getting ready to tee it up at TPC, Twin Cities in Blaine, the home of the 3M Open, of course, where the PGA Tour starts to battle through one of Minnesota's premier courses. I'm so glad to have Tracy West back on our show. She's the co-executive director of the 3M Open. Tracy, thanks for joining us.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for having me on.
What's the energy like right now at TPC as we get ready for the first day? Just a couple days, like 48 hours away.
Yeah, the energy is huge. Obviously, the entire state, I think, is thrilled to have number one, Scottie Scheffler. This tournament is 8 years old from a PGA Tour perspective, and we've never had the world's number one here. So people are excited. Tuesday is just practice rounds, and there's a ton of people out here just watching him practice.
Is Scheffler out there practicing today?
He is. He got here about 10:30 this morning. So this is his first look at the TPC Twin Cities. He's never played here before. So he's really excited. He flew in Sunday night from the Open and is thrilled to be here. So it's going to be a great, great week.
So are these practice rounds open to the public?
They are. So yeah, so there's people out here today. He'll play in the Pro-Am tomorrow. It's early. His Pro-Am tee time is 6:40 a.m. on Wednesday. And then he tees off 7:40 on Thursday morning and 12:45 on Friday.
I got to ask you what ticket sales have been like. Once it was announced that Scheffler was coming to town, Jordan Spieth, what have ticket sales been like? And are there still tickets available for this weekend?
Yeah, there sure are. So no, ticket sales have been very robust. We're up over 20% from this time last year, so which is huge for us. And yeah, tickets are still available. People can go to 3mopen.com and buy their tickets, buy their parking, and come out. Watch not only Scotty, but we have 35 of the top 100 in the world that are going to be competing over the next 4 days, plus Wednesday Pro-Am.
And I correct myself. My producer just told me that Jordan Spieth dropped. I did not get that news, so I apologize for that. But still, Scotty Scheffler, number one. Just amazing opportunity to see him up close and personal. What does it take behind the scenes to prepare for an event like that? I mean, especially now that you're hosting this superstar.
Yeah, it really takes a lot. It's a year-round effort. We've got a staff of 13 that work on this locally year-round. We've got about 12 college interns that have been with us for months. And then we've got over 1,950 volunteers. And of those, there's about 50 that are committee chair people that help us all year round as well. So, and then all the vendors, everyone, it's like we have to build our own city, right? We don't have an arena. We don't have a stadium. We have to think about everything that 150,000 fans are going to need when they come out here. So we have to build it all. It takes us months to build it, a couple months to tear it all down. So it's quite an operation. So there's a lot that goes behind the scenes.
Wow, just incredible. What kind of tests does this course put the players through?
It really does. I mean, the TPC Twin Cities is a great track. The finishing hole in particular on 18 always lends itself to drama. The last couple of years, there's a huge water hazard right on the hole. We've had many players dunk it in coming down the stretch. So it's a great track. The players really appreciate playing here. But even more importantly, I think they really appreciate that the fans come out and it's such a robust way. Minnesotans love their golf. They come out, they cheer them on. These guys are, they're competitive athletes, of course, but they're also performers. I mean, they do like to play in front of crowds, and they like playing tournaments that, they know are benefiting the community, and the community comes out and supports. So they know they get that here in Minnesota.
What does this mean for the Minnesota golf community? Because like you said, golf is huge in Minnesota. We have some of the best courses in the world, arguably. What does a tournament like this and attracting this kind of talent mean for the future of golf in Minnesota?
Yeah, I think it really sets us up very well for it. Most people don't realize, but the national broadcast on CBS and the Golf Channel, it's picked up in over 220 countries around the world. So the amount of eyeballs that are on this state in this tournament, and we make sure that we work really well with Golf Channel and CBS to make sure coming in and out of broadcasts, we're featuring and talking about the Twin Cities, talking about the great state of Minnesota. So we always look to have a tourism impact and an economic impact well past just tournament week. So that bodes incredibly well for the state. And it also helps showcase, what Minnesotans can do and come out and how they support golf. So we've been really fortunate in the state to have a lot of majors, come through, particularly at Hazeltine, other golf courses and so forth. So the USGA, PGA Tour, PGA of America, all the governing bodies, they know that when they host pro golf tournaments in Minnesota, that they're incredibly successful.
We talked about prepping the course for the fans, all the stands that have to go up. I mean, the stores, the food, everything. But what about prepping to put up these players, you know, because I know that you guys pride yourself on the way that you really make it a family event for these players. So what goes into getting ready to welcome these guys to town?
Yeah, we do everything from obviously providing them courtesy cars. We greet them at the airport. The players that were flying in privately from the Open, we greet them at the hangars. You know, so it's really the minute they land to the minute they leave. We've got a tremendous player transportation team, a player services team. We help them get hotels. We help them find private homes to rent if that's what they choose to do. We pride ourselves. We're one of the only tournaments that actually everyone feeds them breakfast and lunch and afternoon snacks and so forth, but we actually do dinners for them every night on the back patio of the TPC clubhouse. We're one of the only tournaments, two of us, that do that. It's that Minnesota nice, right? That we try and project. We have great daycare, a lot of activities for the kids. We often get pointed out by a lot of the PJ Tour events that this is one of their favorite tournaments, not just for them playing, but really their families. You know, we're in the summer, so they can bring their families. Their kids are out of school. So we've got bounce houses. We do bubbles for the kids. I mean, just a ton of activities. And they really appreciate it.
That is really Minnesota nice. I love it. So for anybody who doesn't have tickets yet, they're thinking about coming, what should they expect? Like, what are some big bullets that you want to point out, that you want people to know before they come out there?
Yeah. First off, that we are family friendly and family affordable. Kids 15 and under are free. What a great thing to come out and do with your kids. I mean, what else, what other pro sport do you get to do that, right? And go and bring a big old family and their friends and so forth and come out for free. So first of all, we're family affordable, and the adult tickets are very affordable. Great food. We have food trucks up the wazoo here. We've got a big family fun zone. So there's lots of activities for the kids. And I think the biggest thing to note is you can get right up to the rope line, right? And see these guys. These guys are the best players in the world. And they're going to sign autographs. We've got a family or a fan zone, autograph zone that people can approach these guys. So and the people watching, you know, it's fun just to come out and walk. And the weather is, oh my gosh, we're so excited. We have such a great weather weeks, you know, at least the forecast looks fantastic. So what a great, you know, opportunity to just come out and spend a great day outside and walk around and see some of the best athletes and eat great food.
Truly, you hit the weather jackpot. I mean, it couldn't get much better. You guys got really lucky. Tickets still available. 3M Open this weekend. Practice rounds are happening out there in Blaine today. The official tournament starts Thursday. So really appreciate, Tracy, you joining us. I know you're busy, so thank you for making the time.
Thank you, and we can't wait to see everybody out here.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm going to bring the kids. It's going to be wonderful. Tracy West, the co-executive director of the 3M Open, as the 3M Open starts on Thursday up at the TPC in Blaine. If you want to see Scotty Scheffler in action, get your butt there. All right, I want to bring in my producer, Kara Savage, because Kara, because we're talking about golf, I really wanted to talk about this. This happened over the weekend. I love DeChambeau. I know he's controversial, but DeChambeau was accused of cheating in the British Open over the weekend. So what happened is he shot into the rough, into the tall grasses.
Yeah, into the fescue.
And when he went over there to, hit his ball, he trampled over some of the tall grasses, which some said gave him a better shot.
Yep.
Rory McIlroy said, I don't like the guy. I think he was, looking for attention.
He said it didn't look great.
But
because some people are saying that it could have been an accident, and it was just he wasn't.
Scotty Scheffler came to DeChambeau's defense. He said, I think it was absolutely not intentional. It was, he got the penalties. End of story, guys. I don't think he did it intentionally. It happened. Yeah. He did get a 2-stroke penalty. When you watch the video, I don't know. Was it intentional? Was it not? The only person that knows is DeChambeau, and he has not commented. So
right, and the video wasn't great. It makes sense why he got the penalty. You can definitely tell that it improved his area of swing. Yeah. But it doesn't matter really if it was intentional or not. That's kind of, I think, what I gathered from what Scotty Scheffler was saying was like, even if it was intentional, he got the penalty. That's how this works.
Yeah. I mean, Scotty came to his defense, was like, I don't think he did it on purpose. And like, guys, let's get over it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great golfer. I love him on YouTube and Instagram. He's quite the entertainer. So I think that's what Rory doesn't like about him. Also, he's beat Rory, so Rory's salty. Rory can be a little whiny brat sometimes. So I'm on the record with that now.
There you go.
But anyway, yeah, really interesting stuff happening at the British Open. I want to see DeChambeau come to Blaine. I want to see him come to the 3M Open.
Maybe Scotty Scheffler will speak highly of it, and then everyone's going to want to come.
Yeah, Scotty's going to come with his family. He's going to be like, it was great. Everybody should come to Minnesota. The weather's going to be perfect.
They fed us.
My kid had a bounce house.
Yeah. And bubbles.
And bubbles, right.
I know. What's the age limit on the bubbles? I'll be there on Sunday.
I love it. She's like, we've got bubbles. I'm like, perfect. They've got bubbles for the kids. That'll get these millionaire golfers back.
But what happens if the bubbles float like on the course? I don't
know where their kid zone is for the kids of the players.
Bubble area.
It's probably far away from where they're actually playing, so that they don't have to hear them. You know.
Right.
She actually just emailed me, Tracy West from the 3M Open, and said, I forgot to mention that Saturday we have a concert with Andy Grammer. So she just wanted to make sure that they got that memo out there. And because we are a live streaming what's happening now kind of show, I'm giving you that news now. Yeah,
there you go.
Saturday concert with Andy Grammer included with your Saturday ticket. So that's super cool. I've never seen Andy Grammer. I'm sure he's great.
I couldn't tell you a song.
But if you pay for general admission to go to the tournament, you might as well stick around and hear some Andy Grammer.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good date night, Carrie. You might want to think about that.
That's fun. I'm going to go bright and early on Sunday, so that'll be a different vibe, but I'm excited.
Okay. All right. All right. Thanks, Kara. Appreciate you chiming in. We're going to take a quick break here. We'll be back after this. Welcome back. We're going to get to your weather forecast in just a minute with Erica Mrazek, but I want to check in with our very own So-Young Kim, who's up in the Ely area today. She's been covering these wildfires for us the last week. Really appreciate her joining us. So-Young, tell me the latest. We heard that the fires didn't move much yesterday because of rain and cooler temperatures. Where are officials saying they stand right now?
Hey, Courtney, yeah, that's exactly right. So we are in Ely, and it's significantly cooler than it was all last week. Officials say the cooler weather coupled with the rain has really helped the firefight. So no real expansion of the fire. So that's the good news. With the storms and the rain came stronger winds, lightning. So there are some additional challenges there. It's been gusty all morning. It's been raining off and on all morning, yesterday and today. It just kind of died down right now, the wind, as soon as we started. But those stronger winds have really also complicated the already complex firefight in remote areas. Fire officials say, especially when they were talking about the Sioux fire, the stronger winds from overnight, there were some areas with falling trees. So they temporarily had to halt firefighting efforts for firefighter safety. So this cooler weather, the rain, a good relief, and this type of temperature helps with the firefighting efforts compared to how hot it's been over the last week. But again, it's still a dynamic day. The fire officials say stronger winds could also help build momentum. They also said an interesting piece that the stronger winds could also contribute to smoke hiding within trees for longer. So the active fires or new starts might not be visible or might not be detected until after they're established. So still a really dynamic situation. This rain from overnight, they did say it was spread across the wildfire area, but it's not just all good news. It's still a very active firefight, nearly 70,000 acres burning in northern Minnesota on our side of the border. So another busy day, but a change in conditions definitely that we can report, and I can feel right now. The other thing I do want to point out too is within the last few days, it's still a bit hazy. There's clouds, as you can see, it's cloudy right now after the storms rolled in, but the air quality is so much better. We can breathe now. So that's a little bit of more good news that I can bring you about conditions here in Ely right now.
I was going to ask you about that because they have said that the visibility has been a hindrance for aerial firefighting, you know, when they're putting those planes and the drones up. Have they talked about how this has helped their efforts, having the air be a little more clear? I mean, obviously it's healthier for the firefighters that are out there, but have they talked about that visibility helping them out in the fight?
Yeah, no, that's definitely been a factor, and obviously air quality and alerting people to stay safe, especially if you're more in a sensitive physical state. So that air quality is still a factor in a lot of these areas impacted by fire. But when it comes to that firefighting effort, when it was really smoky, when the smoke was so heavy, you saw ash flying around last week, it did hinder some of those aerial support efforts, definitely. And that close, I think yesterday, we got that 63,000 acres, kind of a total acreage of the July lightning incident. So that was refined because they were able to, after the worst of that smoke and the heaviness and the haze, once that visibility improved for aerial support to do their job. That's why that refined kind of total acreage number was refined, and that estimate looked like it was a little bit lower. It's not that anything was wrong, but when it was initially so hazy and so smoky and visibility was so low, they weren't flying aircraft, and their area support, they weren't able to get up and do their job, and visibility was so low. So that's definitely a factor where now planes have been flying and they're getting some of that aerial support for some better mapping of the fire perimeter. And that's where we're getting those refined estimates of acreage and those updated numbers as well.
You know, we haven't seen an expansion of the evacuation zones. It's been days since they've put, you know, some homeowners in the go zone. So because there has been a stall, is there any hope that those homeowners will be able to get back into their homes soon? Have they given a timeline as to when they can go back, even to get, you know, more belongings?
So I think The positive news is local sheriff's offices who the communications for those evacuation orders and status updates goes through, they are starting to look at when they possibly could open up some of those opportunities for homeowners to go on, check in on their things. There's no set timeline yet. Like you mentioned, no major changes to those evacuation orders at this time. So many areas of Lake County, St. Louis counties still remain under evacuation orders. There's many other areas that are in ready and set statuses, along with areas in Cook County also in evacuation statuses. The positive news is officials are starting to look at where that opportunity might be to let people back in or potentially change those evacuation orders or statuses. Along that same line, forest officials are also, obviously we know the Boundary Waters, that closure was extended through Friday and that remains in place through Friday. But Forest Service officials are also saying we're assessing multiple times daily and they'll update as they can, but they're starting to assess also where there's opportunities to maybe ease up on some closures in some certain areas of the Boundary Waters. So still a very active firefight. Again, with the storms, we know lightning on July 6th, there were more than 1,000 strikes that kind of sparked most of these fires that are raging on right now. But with the storms rolling in that brought this rain and a little bit of the cooler weather, more lightning. So that could also be potentially more starts. We know fire officials are tracking 3 new starts over the weekend. They point to Sunday where they can point to 3 new starts on Sunday. So evacuation orders remain in place. Boundary Waters remains closed, but there is a little bit of momentum and some good news where officials are starting to look at where maybe they can shift or downgrade some of those closures or evacuations, but still a very active firefight. We know fire officials have said they're fully expecting this to be a longer firefight and a longer fire season. What that means for people impacted in evacuated areas, that's kind of where the dynamic communication and the uncertainty for visitors and people with plans, but especially people who live in the area, that they're watching closely.
So Young, last question for you here. You know, we've had lodge owners, business owners on our show, you know, over the last week. I'm curious because they're telling us, like, please tell people that not to cancel their reservations. You know, there's still plenty to do up here. What are you hearing from outfitters and business owners that you're talking to while you're up there? You know, how hard is this on them?
Yeah, business owners and outfitters that I've spoken to kind of across the board, this is their peak season. It's summer season, July, August. They really rely on the foot traffic, and this a little bit unseasonable for a fire of this magnitude to kind of shut down operations around the Boundary Waters. That's what a lot of people visit this area for. They're definitely taking a hit. The numbers, the foot traffic in town even isn't obviously what it is compared to a normal time of year this time in July. Outfitters, resort owners, they're on the phone all day fielding questions, mostly concerns, a lot of cancellations. So their message to the public, one from the Chamber of Commerce and businesses in town, are their doors are open. They're open for business here in Ely. The resorts and the outfitters, they're asking people to just stay alert to the updates. It's a dynamic, changing situation every day. They don't want people to kind of worry in advance and maybe cancel plans that they have weeks out or months out. And I know the Forest Service also, with their daily updates of the Boundary Waters closure, they're also suggesting some alternatives that you don't need a permit, that aren't closed right now. There are some other beautiful backcountry and wilderness areas in the area that people can still explore. So the message is, their businesses, they're definitely taking a hit, outfitters and resorts. This is their peak season, but they also want people to call them directly to discuss alternatives, possibilities. A lot of those businesses in town here, they're still fully open for business.
Wow. Just incredible. Thank you for that update. So Young Kim, we'll check in with you in about an hour. Appreciate you, and stay safe out there.
Thank you, Courtney.
All right, want to bring in our meteorologist, Erica Mrazek, because she talked about the rain being so important. But with the rain comes the lightning, which comes, she said over the weekend, 3 new fire starts.
Yeah, you don't want the thunderstorms, but you do want the rain. And
Which
in the
this time
summertime,
of year, you can't get rain without
summertime,
thunderstorms.
It's usually, one, you can't have one without the other. But there was some rain that fell within the past 24 hours, which is good, but you definitely need a lot more than what fell, which was only about a couple tenths of an inch. And then, unfortunately, the rest of the forecast is looking quite dry. And as Sung-Yang was saying today, a little bit windy, so the wind doesn't help. But the cool temperature is definitely better, and overall it's looking like pretty mild. So hopefully without additional showers and storms, there won't be any new fires that form. But yeah, it's like you want the rain to try to help to put them out, but then you don't want the storms because that'll just start new ones. So it's kind of like
it's a tough
lose-lose.
It is. It is. Let's talk about the weather down here in the Twin Cities because we're out of that extreme heat.
Finally.
I was actually shocked to look at my weather app this morning and see the highs were like in the 70s, like 79, I think was the high today. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, we had 10 days in a row with the high in the 90s. So that was just heat for a long time. So today is finally going to break that. And then tomorrow also might not even make it to the 80s. Today it's probably going to be the 80s, but tomorrow perhaps maybe even the 70s. So if that happens, then temperatures that it hasn't been in this like not the 80s or 90s since the end of June.
Wow.
So it's been like 3.5 weeks.
And what's interesting is like, yes, that was hot. 10 days of 90-degree weather is hot. It's not unusual though. July is a hot month. It's our hottest month in Minnesota from what I understand.
Yeah.
And I think the record was 1936 when we had 14 consecutive days of weather in the 90s. So, but I am curious if these kind of temperatures, like in the 70s, are these about average?
Average is mid-80s, like about 84. So these are actually slightly below. And then
so we went from crazy high to now below.
So it'll be below average for the midweek, and then once you get towards the end of the work week, it's right around normal, so mid-80s. And then for the weekend, it actually then gets hotter. So then we're back to the 90s and back to above average temperatures. But yeah.
No rain, though. I mean, we've got some big events in the Twin Cities this weekend. We've got the Twins playing. We've got TPC for the golf tournament. So yeah, lots of people happy that it's not going to rain, but that's a little hot. So
yeah, at the moment, very minimal chances for rain for most of the 7-day forecast. The next best chance is in like 5 days, but even that, it's very minimal right now. So it's looking pretty dry.
Okay, Erica Mrazek, really appreciate you joining us. We'll see you in a bit. All right, and with those wildfires that are burning, we have to point out that, wildfires have long played a crucial role in reshaping and rejuvenating landscapes. It's part of the ecosystem. So we bring in Lee Frelick with the U of M Department of Forest Resources to talk all about this. Lee, thanks for joining me.
It's nice to be with you.
So what role has fire historically played in the state of Minnesota?
Well, Minnesota has a lot of what we call fire-dependent forest types. They cover most of the landscape in northern Minnesota, and that includes jack pine, white pine, red pine. Also, some of the spruce forests and birch and aspen forests are all fire-dependent. And in southern Minnesota, it's the oak forests that are fire-dependent. So historically, fire has been a big thing in Minnesota. I mean, it's normal to have big, high-intensity fires in the boreal conifer forest type, like in the Boundary Waters, like those fires that we've been having for the last week.
So while many people think wildfires, they think destruction, you're saying it's actually critical for the ecosystem.
Yeah, it's a form of forest renewal. A lot of these tree species will not reproduce at all unless there's fire. And jack pine is one of the best examples. It has what we call serotinous cones, and the cones won't even open unless they feel the heat of a fire. So if there's never a fire, the trees will never reproduce, and other species of trees will will take over and push them off the landscape.
Are there certain plant species or animals that actually depend on periodic fires? I know you mentioned that tree, but without fires, they wouldn't survive.
Well, yeah, there's two aspects to that. There's some plant species that independently of trees depend on fire, like Bicknell's geranium. It's a native geranium species that we have in northern Minnesota. And its seeds fall on the forest floor right after a fire, and they sit there and get buried in the leaf litter, and they will not germinate until they see light. On one of our research sites, we had a massive flush of Bicknell's geraniums coming right after a fire in 2001, and looking at the history, that forest had not had a fire since 1801, so those seeds were 200 years old.
If we removed fire completely from the landscape, what would happen over time?
Well, all of those species of trees that I mentioned, as well as the wildlife species that depend on them, which is another aspect of fire dependence, is that some wildlife species don't depend directly on fire, but they have to have the tree species that do. For example, the pine warbler in Minnesota. So we would lose tree species, we would lose wildlife species, plant species. In addition to that, in older forests, especially in the north, a lot of the nutrients are tied up in the forest floor, in dead wood, and a lot of natural materials there, and those nutrients are released in a fire. So in effect, it rejuvenates the ecosystem. Over thousands of years, it's also very important for renewing and maintaining the chemistry of the lakes in northern Minnesota. Without fire, the whole landscape would become covered with sphagnum moss, which gives off acid, and the lakes would all become acidified, and there wouldn't be any fish. So there's a lot of renewal. In addition to that, the fires sometimes get rid of insect pests and pathogens.
Is there a difference between a good and a bad fire from an ecological standpoint?
Well, yeah, sometimes fires might occur at such close intervals that they wipe out the tree species, that the trees wouldn't be old enough to bear seeds at the time of the second fire, or there could be fires that burn extremely hot and that could sterilize the soil. So yeah, there can be some bad effects, but overall, the effect of fire in Minnesota is very beneficial.
We've advanced so much in technology when it comes to firefighting efforts. Have we been too successful at preventing fire in some ecosystems?
Yeah, we've been too successful in the prairies and savannas in southern Minnesota. So we actually have to go out and do prescribed burns now to maintain those. And in northern Minnesota, some of the forest types, especially the red and white pine, which are a lot of people's really favorite forest type because those trees have such scenic architecture. It can be a real problem for those species if you suppress fire for a long time, because other species like balsam fir and spruce will move into the understory. It'll increase the density of fuel, and when there is a fire, it could be much more intense, and it could kill the big old pine trees. Whereas those forest types under natural conditions and with burning by indigenous people over thousands of years had frequent low-intensity fires that kept the brush out of the understory. So for those species, fire suppression has been kind of a disaster, but it's both suppression and removal of the indigenous burning practices from the landscape.
Do you encourage forest cleanup? We hear a lot about, clearing the lower level forest area to prevent wildfire. Is that something that you recommend, or should we just leave it alone? Leave it as it was meant to be?
Yeah, well, in the vicinity of cabins and resorts and settlements that are in the wildland urban interface like northern Minnesota, it is a good idea to remove some of those fuels and what we call fire-wise practices, where you remove that type of fuel in the vicinity of a building, and some other things like trying to use fireproof building materials, not stacking your firewood near the building. Don't plant fire-prone shrubs near the building and so on. Then you can minimize any impacts that there might be if a wildfire should approach.
I'm curious if any of the firefighting materials that they use to try and put out these fires are toxic to the wildlife or the natural ecosystem there, or if we've been good about using, just water and materials that aren't meant to damage.
Yeah, some of the fire retardants can have some impacts, and so you should only use those in a really dire situation, but we generally use a lot of just plain old water that they scoop out of a lake nearby. In northern Minnesota, there's plenty of lakes available, and not too much harm is done there. I suppose you could accidentally spread an aquatic invasive species to a different place or something, but in general, we do a pretty good job of minimizing that sort of impact.
It sounds like a lot of your work is just balancing, fire control and then, the natural process of what the ecosystem has to go through.
Yeah, the research that I do on the impacts of fire, it informs management of forests all the time. And I didn't even intend it that way to start with, but it turned out everybody was interested in it. So I keep producing new research, more information that forest managers can use, and wilderness managers too, because recreation in wild areas and how that relates to fire is also very important in Minnesota.
Is that why we hear officials saying some of these fires are going to burn until winter? Because they are in remote areas and they got to let them burn because it's part of the process.
Yeah, in remote parts of the boundary waters, it can be really hard to get to fires. Some of those might smolder if they get into deep organic materials like peat that are in the ground, and they could smolder there actually until the snow melts next spring. So that is something you have to take into account. So they'll have to know where those are, and you can detect those with infrared detectors, aerially, and you can tell where they are. But yeah, it is hard to fight fires in remote areas, and they bring in crews from out west and they don't know how to canoe, and they're used to climbing mountains, but they're not used to canoeing and portaging and things like that. So they have to learn a few things to fight fire, because sometimes a flat landscape can be more difficult to move around in than mountains.
Interesting. All right, Lee Frelick from the U of M Department of Forest Resources, I so appreciate you joining us.
And you are welcome.
All right. We are going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we are going to hear from some of the victims of a St. Louis Park apartment fire who not only lost their belongings, their home, but they say their pets are also now missing. Stay right there. Firefighters in St. Louis Park are investigating what sparked a fire at an apartment complex that resulted in the loss of several people's homes and sent a few to the hospital. About 90 units were destroyed at the Helix Apartments on Friday night. Most lost not only their homes, but their belongings, and several are still searching for their beloved pets. Brandon Watt is one of those residents who lost everything in the fire and is now still searching for his cat, Salem. Brandon, first of all, I'm so sorry that you're going through this. Really appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So talk to me. It sounds like you were out of town when the fire happened. What did you come home to?
Yeah, good question. So it's hard to say luckily, but my girlfriend and I were fortunately out of town on a planned family vacation with my family. So she had to head home early for work. And the first time she had knowledge of any fire or accident at our place was driving up and seeing smoke coming out of our apartment with no idea if it was near our apartment, if it was even our building, but slowly became more aware that it was dangerously close to our apartment.
Was your unit impacted? I mean, do you have anything that was salvageable?
We don't have any belongings from our apartment that we didn't take before we went on vacation.
Wow. Have you been able to access your unit?
We have not. We haven't touched anything in our apartment. We've seen the outside. It's hard to look at and imagine what could be left. And luckily, we've had friends and people volunteer and fly drones above the building to get a little better view. And you can see in our apartment, and you can see things that might be salvageable. The roof on our apartment, that's kind of a good picture. Ours is close to there. But yeah, our roof is gone, so you can see into our apartment. But we have not been allowed inside.
So your cat Salem was inside the apartment when the fire started. Have you been able to locate Salem since the fire?
We have not, and I'll refer to her as Sally because that's just what we call her. That's Sally. Yep, she is an inside cat, and she was inside the apartment at the time of the fire. We have not been able to confirm or locate her if she made it out in the neighborhood, if she is still in the apartment, or if she passed away in the apartment during the fire.
So you said that you haven't been able to access the apartment. Have you asked officials about, finding the cat? Have you gotten any help from officials in trying to locate your cat?
We have tried. There has been efforts made. Generous St. Volunteers from animal rescue places, I believe they're like professionals or even just community members and pet lovers, have been volunteering time, money to set up live traps, like in places a cat might hide around the apartment. We can't put them in the apartment. We've talked to our management company and like firefighters. Firefighters cannot enter the apartment anymore without the management permission, but management has been talking with us. And right now, our area of the apartment is just unsafe to enter, is what we know right now.
Is it unsafe for firefighters to enter as well? I mean, I know firefighters have handed the scene over to the property management group, but are officials even able to go inside? Can you ask, an official, hey, can you go visit our unit, see if you can spot our cat?
We don't have we don't have a real answer yet. We're still kind of wondering. I believe officials that have been working with our management company have entered our side of the building in order to rescue other cats that have been confirmed alive, but I don't believe, and it's not confirmed that they have accessed our extent south of the building where the fire was.
So the city of St. Louis Park told me that they did at one point set traps to try and attract the animals, capture them, and get them reunited with their owners. Do you know anyone who has been able to be reunited with their pets?
Yes, I know at least of 3 or 4 who have been reunited with their cats or dogs. I've seen pictures. They've all been taken to emergency veterinarian services. There's also been very good community support, volunteering and donating money to help those pets that were rescued from the fire. And I believe they have all been evaluated and they're healthy after being rescued days or 3 days, 4 days out from the fire, between 1 to now. They're currently still trying to find pets in the apartment, just like our Saley.
You said that there have been drones, community members have flown drones over the site of the fire and have spotted animals, pets. Have you gotten any sign that maybe Saley is one of those pets that they've spotted?
Yes. I'm not a professional camera operator or drone flyer. However, I know a more advanced drone than what I've seen has seen like thermal signatures and possibly like a set of eyes. If they do it at night, they can shine light into the building since our roof is gone and see the reflection of eyes. And I know at least one of those pieces of evidence was near our apartment. I'm not sure if that is enough evidence to push officials and our management company to go into our apartment.
What's your ask of the management company and officials when it comes to, helping you get your pets back, your belongings maybe?
Yeah, honestly, we just want to know. I know it's a wish and it might not be possible, but we just want to look into our apartment to see if our cat has passed away in the apartment, to get confirmation and just closure, at least. Good news or bad news, just to know is really what we want.
Can you understand that it might be dangerous for an everyday citizen to go into a scene like that?
Yeah. I can see a non-professional not understanding like the structural integrity after a fire. I've been learning myself what can happen with water damage, it's so heavy when it's sitting in the structure and the fire weakening it. So if a professional goes in there and tries their best and tells me there's no chance we can go in there, I'll have to accept that. But I just really want all efforts made because it's very important. I've kind of learned more recently how close people can get to pets, and they really just become like a little family member, and you just want to know if they're okay or if you can grieve for them, for their missing pet.
Absolutely. Pets are a part of our family. What's it been like for you? I mean, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, on a Friday evening, everything that you own is gone. Your home is gone. What is that like?
Yeah, I never expected to ever be like a part of a newscast or like a tragic event, disaster. I would say this is hopefully as close as I will get to a natural disaster. It's shocking to know how much stuff you can own and can go from all like basic necessities to things you have like trinkets or memorabilia or just things you have sentimental value for in a small 1-2 bedroom apartment, and it can all be gone. It's all gone in less than a few hours one evening.
Wow. I'm so sorry for what you guys are going through. You know, I've talked to a couple people there in St. Louis Park who say they hope that the fire department and fire officials across the state kind of look at this and maybe change their strategy when it comes to, you know, finding pets and locating pets after a fire. If there was anything that you would like to request as a change in the future, what would it be?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it could be looked as an example for how much weight pets are on and feel for their families. So I would want like a plan as soon as possible for like firefighters, the trained professionals, with all of the safety gear available, to be available to go in as quickly as possible after the fire has been put out and contained. And pets are hard, dogs and cats, because sometimes they hide, but just to do a quick sweep of living spaces with confirmed pets, a call out, a sweep of every room, and then maybe like tag if they have found a deceased pet, because I know many pets have already been confirmed passed away. And I thank the officials and firefighters who did that. However, I just wish I would want a communication plan, and a plan of action set up for this kind of scenario.
Brandon, I'm so sorry that you're dealing with this. I can't imagine what it's like to lose everything in a matter of hours. So best of luck to you as you guys rebuild following these fires.
Thank you so much. The community has been amazing. So I can't thank family and friends enough, for people I don't even know who have stepped up to volunteer a place to stay or money or donations. It's been very overwhelmingly kind of everyone.
Yeah, you often see the best of people in the worst of situations. So thanks, Brandon.
Thank you.
And I just want to provide a statement that we were provided by the city of St. Louis Park. So they said that they understand the concern about pets who have remained inside the Helix apartments during and after the July 17th fire. The city says that every reasonable attempt was made to recover these pets while also considering the safety of personnel, contractors, residents, and volunteers. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to talk sports with our own Ahmad Hicks. Stay right there. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. We're going to shift gears. We've been talking a lot of fire, a lot of hard stuff. But you know what? We still care about our Minnesota sports teams, so we had to bring in Ahmad Hicks. You know, I know you got to go out and to the lake today, be outside a little bit, but what you're really looking forward to is next week when training camp starts.
Yep. I can't wait. So Nolan Teasley, general manager, head coach Kevin O'Connell, they speak on Tuesday. First practice is on Wednesday, and before anybody sends me a message and says, Ahmad, how's the quarterback competition going?
Seriously.
It's not going yet. Like, let's wait until the joint practices with the Ravens. Let's see who plays in preseason game 1 or 2 before we get asked that topic. But I know very well, come next Wednesday when we have our first report, the first question will be, how did the quarterbacks look? So I'm fully prepared for it. I'm mentally getting psyched up for it, but I know it's going to be a long, long training camp.
I know everybody's talking about the quarterbacks. I'm also really curious to see this first-round draft pick that we got, this
Caleb
big boy.
Banks. Me too. I talk about him all the time, and I think him and Big Citrus, another guy that they have, Dominique Orange, who he got drafted as well from Syracuse. I think they're going to be outstanding additions for the Vikings front seven defensively. I think their defense was one of the top 10s in the NFL last year, and the two guys they had up front that they paid $1 gajillion to Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave, they didn't do much, if anything. They did okay, but not a lot. These two young guys can do a lot. I know a lot of people look at me and say, Caleb Banks, really? He played 3 games last year. Based on some information we got from the Vikings, speaking to other people around the league, when healthy, this guy is a first-round talent and a top 10 talent. If the Vikings can get him playing up to his potential, no one's going to question this draft pick ever again.
Well, these recruiters, I mean, they know what they're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, he was injured, but they clearly know what they're doing. They know they've got talent there. So.
And we got some nuggets, you know, about the injury he sustained, the options that he had in college versus the options he maybe would have had in the NFL, et cetera. So they made us feel good as journalists going into this training camp saying, you know what? I kind of see why the Vikings made this move. Now Caleb just has to go out there and just bring it to fruition.
Okay, as someone who covers the Vikings all season nonstop, you know, you've got shows.
All day.
You immerse yourself
Literally.
in the Vikings during the football season. What are you looking for? What are you looking to learn at training camp? What are you looking to get access to?
That's a good question. I really think the identity up front offensively. We've always talked about the quarterback play or lack thereof here in Minnesota and how it hasn't been this or how it was that, et cetera. The quarterback will only go so far as his offensive line will take him. And I think that if you're talking about a successful offensive line, then you talk about a successful run game. Then if your line is successful, that opens up everything for your quarterback. They have more time to throw the ball. They're not as pressured. They're not getting hit as much. So I really want to see what type of identity this offensive line will shape themselves into be. Because last season, Brian O'Neill, one of your premier right tackles in the league, he got paid a ton of money. He was injured a lot. Christian Darrisaw came off a total knee reconstruction. Ryan Kelly, somebody you know, dealt with concussions. Will Fry's a guy that they paid $88 million to over 5 years. He was coming off an injury. So it's like everyone was injured. And then you had Donovan Jackson, a rookie left guard last year. So you had no continuity. I can't wait to see what they're like this year. The same offensive line is coming back. Blake Brandel will be your starting center. He was a backup last year for Ryan Kelly, earned that starting role. So that's what I want to see. How nasty are they? How physical are they? And do they take it to the Vikings defensive line? That's what I want to see in training camp. Long-winded answer right there. Sorry.
I love it. We do long-winded on this show, Ahmad. We love it. Keep going. Keep going. No, I just like it's July and we're already getting excited. You're making me excited. It's July and we got months to go. My kid the other day was like, I want to go to the Vikings game. It's like, honey, you got months.
It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. That's like my kid asking to go to the state fair. I'm like, relax, bro. Like, it'll get there.
It'll be here before you know it.
Exactly. Yes.
The Twins not playing so good. They've got a home series this weekend.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to?
Baseball season is still going on. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
It's a long
I'm
season.
joking. Look, I know there's a lot of baseball fans out there. It's just tough. Like, you know, a week ago they were in wild card position. You're like, man, this team is actually doing really good for what we intended them to be this season. And then they kind of go through a little slide and you're like, yep. That's the Twins we signed up for. That's why only 8,000 people are showing up to the park each and every night. Look, Brian Buxton's coming off the injury list, so that's good.
Yeah.
But other than that, man, it's like not a ton of bright spots. Joe Ryan gave up like 6 home runs yesterday. Like, not good. He's your best pitcher.
So the chances of them getting a wild card?
I mean, it's still there. Like, don't get me wrong. You play the game, play the game. But, nah, I wouldn't put any money on it. I wouldn't bet on it.
Okay. Well, I mean, going into this season, people didn't have very high hopes. So when they started playing well, everybody was a little surprised. So
yeah, we all knew the fall off would come sooner now.
The Lynx. I want an update from you about Olivia Miles because obviously, you know, she got hurt.
Cold.
And we're going into the All-Star game. So they've got their last game before the All-Star break.
Tomorrow.
What's the update on Olivia Miles?
So she played yesterday, and she had another career day. I think she had 33 points again yesterday, or 32 against the Seattle Storm. She's phenomenal. I mean, she's Rookie of the Year already. It's a no-brainer, unanimous decision. She will be Rookie of the Year, and she's playing herself into consideration for MVP consideration. And Nafisa Collier isn't even on the court right now. She's probably going to come back after the All-Star break. So you talk about how good Miles has been offensively. She's only going to be better. Her assists, which are averaging 6 to 8 right now, is going to be 8 to 10 once Nafisa Collier comes back. So the Lynx, look, buy stock now if you haven't already. I know people have because years since I've been here, the upper bowl always has curtains around it. No one's ever up there. Olivia Miles is here now. That upper bowl is open. Not the entire upper bowl, but it's open. So I think it's exciting. I think they are a team poised to do some big things, and I really think they can go to the WNBA Finals this year.
Are you worried about that ankle, though? I know it was like the same leg. She had the calf issues.
She came back the next day. Now, when it went down and she held it, I was like, oh, my God, that's not good. But then she literally walked off. She did the celebration afterwards. She was limping hard on the court, and I recorded a video of her walking to the locker room, and the limp was not as aggressive then. So I'm like, oh, she's fine. They
love to play it up.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, she's fine. Don't worry about it. Nothing to worry about there. So, yeah, as long as she's healthy and Fee's healthy and Kayla McBride is healthy and Courtney Williams, this team is going to do great things.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Who's worse, though, the soccer players and their drama or
soccer players?
Those guys, let me tell you, it's like somebody stubbed their toe and they're like crying.
I can't do the flopping. Oh, my God, I can't. That's why you can't watch soccer. Because then when someone really gets hurt, you're like, wait, is he just selling a call here or is he actually really hurt? I don't know how to feel. So, yeah.
Okay, last thing I want to talk to you about is the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah.
So they are now saying they're going to start their own
I saw that.
channel.
The
so
NHL.
this is what. So I'm thinking this is very similar to what the Twins did, and people hate it.
Yeah, I hate it too. I'm tired of paying for new stuff.
Absolutely.
It's like what, Wild TV or something, but then it's like, all right, what? Here we go. We got to pay for Wild TV. We got to pay for Twins TV. We got to pay for FanDuel. Well, we still don't know what the Timberwolves are doing, so we got to pay for whatever to see the Timberwolves. Then we got to pay for Peacock. We got to pay for Amazon Prime. We got to pay for ESPN. It's like, my God, like how many things do we have to pay for to watch a team?
So what are we expecting now when you want to watch a Wild game?
You better
next
pay
season?
for that app. You better pay for whatever streaming device they have, just like Twins TV, $20, $25 a month, whatever it's going to be. That's how you will access your games. But it's like, oh, good luck, because you also have to pay maybe to watch the Timberwolves. You need a Peacock to watch every one of their games. You need this to watch another. It's super frustrating as a sports fan because back in the day we had cable where all the channels were right there. You paid a hefty subscription price for cable, but you had all your games. Now you need 20 different apps. I don't even know what I'm subscribed to at this point. So it's like, it's annoying. And I'm a sports reporter, and I have to keep up with these games.
And this is all because FanDuel network is closing, right?
Yeah, so they've been going bankrupt. I mean, it's been like that since I think it was Fox Sports, then it was Bally Sports, then FanDuel. So they're trying everything to save it. But the fact of the matter is, people can consume these highlights, these games everywhere else. And when you have a hockey season with 70 plus games, you got a NBA season with 82 games and a baseball season with 162, the demand to watch every game is not there. So those stations are losing money. You know, they're paying teams, boatloads back in the day when social media wasn't a thing, but social media is a thing now. And so everyone's trying to play catch up, and FanDuel is not going to catch up to that. So sucks for them, to a lot of people losing their jobs. But it sucks to the viewers at home trying to watch their favorite teams.
Most importantly,
Yes, and once I saw that, I'm like, all right, well, I'm not paying for it. So if y'all want to talk about Twins or Wild when I come on this show, you better have the video pulled up for me where I can watch it and replay real fast, because if not, Ahmad's not paying to watch it at home. I'm sorry.
It's amazing that they didn't learn from the Twins. The Twins did it, and it's really backfired on them, I think, as far as the fan base. The fan base has not been happy about it.
Look, I dropped cable TV to go to YouTube TV because I was like, oh, I got the sports package. I'm good good. Now I'm back close to paying, Simone and I are back close to paying $200 between Netflix and Prime and all this. And I'm just like, at this point, I'm like, no more subscriptions. Like, no more. So
remember when they told us that when we cut the cord, we were going to save money?
And now we're just spending more because everybody has their own app now. And so good luck to the Wild. I hope they get a lot of subscribers, but it will not come from the Hicks household.
Fox 9 has got it.
We will watch when we're here at work,
That's
when
what
I'm
I'm
working,
saying.
but I am not paying for another subscription. Absolutely not.
I think a lot of people are with you.
And some people keep saying, well, if you're paying for Twins, then you just transfer it over, and once that season's done, you just pay for WoW. It's like, okay, what about Timberwolves? And what's next with Timberwolves? Next thing you know, still need Netflix to watch some football games. It's like, I'm subscribed out right now.
Mainly, Ahmad, I would probably forget my passwords for all of them, and then
Thank God for the password app on our iPhone. If not, I would not know what to do.
my husband gives me so much flack for that. Like,
Simone's the same way. If I change a password, she's like, what'd you change the password to? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, I haven't put it in months. I'm like, go to your password app on your phone. It's there for you. It'll help us out.
oh, okay. We've gone everywhere with
I
Ahmad
know.
Hicks today.
Sorry, I went off the walls here.
Thanks for joining us.
No problem.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on Fox 9 all day. Well, let me start that over. Weather conditions recently have certainly helped in the firefighting efforts up in northern Minnesota, but so far, more than 70,000 acres have burned. About 800 firefighters are on the scene trying to get these fires under control. Our very own So-Young Kim has been up in the Ely area for quite a while now. You've come home, you got a break, you went back up. So-Young, we so appreciate your hard work out there. Just give us an update as to where this firefight is now.
Yeah, hey, Courtney, kind of going back to the Twin Cities and heading back up in those few days, as you can see, and as you mentioned, the cooler weather, there's been a change in conditions. The cooler weather, and there's been some rain. Fire officials say overnight there was some rain across the entire fire region and the fire zone. But it's not just all good news, because firefighters had also been up against stronger winds that came with the storms. They also were up against more lightning strikes that also comes with that rain. So a little bit of a mixed bag in terms of an update today. No significant growth in terms of the acreage, like you mentioned, kind of roughly around that 70,000 acre mark is what they're estimating for the entire, all those fires burning up in this region right now. We know the Boundary Waters canoe area, that the Forest Service had already extended that closure to Friday. That remains in place. Evacuations obviously are still in place as well, as this is a dynamic and shifting situation. Evacuation orders are in place in both Lake and St. Louis counties. County officials are saying, please stay alert to official communications because those continue to change. But with this weather shift, a little bit of good news, nothing set yet or substantial or a exact timeline I could provide you, but both fire officials and law enforcement officials are starting to discuss the possibility of, in terms of the evacuation orders, maybe seeing when is a good time or a good window in the near future. People that have been evacuated could potentially maybe go back to their homes to check in on their properties. Again, in a similar conversation the fire officials are having, they're also assessing an opportunity to potentially ease some of those closures of certain parts of the Boundary Waters. So again, still a very active firefight for the crews on the ground. You mentioned now we have nearly 800 and a complex management incident command team has taken over management of the fires. So still a lot of uncertainty in the air, talking to the businesses downtown, the outfitters, the resorts. Some of the resorts here near Fernburg are on set status. So they're fully prepared. They have a plan in place. A lot of the businesses I spoke with, they're not really sure what the total impact, the long-term impact will be when this is their peak summer season that they rely on year after year. So still a lot of unknowns, still a very fluid situation for those impacted, for those who live here, and those who have businesses in this area.
So Young, you mentioned that it's a positive sign that they're considering, they're even looking at, allowing people back into the evacuation zones to maybe assess their properties and grab some things, and looking at maybe easing some of those restrictions in the Boundary Waters. All good signs. But what are they talking about when they look at the future? I know they've got meteorologists on their command staff and that they're watching the weather closely. What are they talking about as far as conditions and where things might go in the next couple of days?
Yeah, like you mentioned, there's incident meteorologists. There was one here at the state level when Minix was in charge. There's also incident meteorologists with the complex management team that has taken over in the last several days. Their outlook in terms of the firefight and fire officials, they're looking long term. So they're saying the focus and the priority of this firefight at this stage still is the protection of life and property. So that Fernburg corridor I talked about, Echo Trail, which is a little bit south. So I'm in Ely. The closest fire to us right now where we're standing is the Camp Fire. A little bit north of us. A little bit north of that is the Bear Trap Fire, which has burned one of the largest areas where two fires had initially combined last week, and that's the Bear Trap Fire. So those two fires are contributing to a lot of the evacuation orders we have in the area because they're closest to values, assets, potential properties, structures. So the firefight right now and the focus is protecting, obviously, life first and properties. So they're doing a lot of protective measures around properties so it doesn't inch closer to any of those assets that they have in the area. With that said, that's the focus right now, and it has been over the last week, and that continues, and that effort remains in place. A longer-term outlook from fire officials, they say some of, especially the wildfires that are in more remote areas that aren't maybe threatening structures or property or are nowhere near any of those value assets, those honestly might burn for months. Fire officials and incident meteorologists also pointed to in August, potentially it could only become warmer, which doesn't help a firefight. That's a big part of the issue, the dry, hot conditions that really sparked and really helped these fires gain momentum last week into this week. They're anticipating a longer term firefight. For some of these fires, there's so many, and there, like we already discussed earlier in the show, there were some new starts that they tracked to some lightning strikes over the weekend. So some of these fires might burn for months, or will most likely burn for months, and that's what fire officials are anticipating and preparing for. In terms of people actually impacted, that again, hopefully will ease up much sooner than that. But right now, no official word on any formal changes. So the main closure of the boundary waters, evacuation orders in both Lake and St. Louis counties remain in place, and that's kind of where we stand at this time.
And of course, a lot of lodges and tourism destinations want to remind people that they are still open for business. And on that note, it's pretty incredible to see sun shining on your face, blue skies, cloudy skies, but blue skies behind you, because last week when you came on the show, it was extremely low visibility, extremely smoky. You were doing some of your live shots inside the car because the air quality was so unhealthy. So it's just incredible to see the difference there behind you, So Young.
Yeah, that shift in conditions definitely, there's pieces to that were helpful in the firefight, as fire officials have said in their update. But obviously with storms also comes lightning strikes, frequent lightning strikes, and they've had stronger winds overnight and into today. And earlier today, there was rain also off and on. But like you mentioned, right now, the sun is trying to peek through. There are some spots of blue in the sky, and it definitely feels a lot cooler. So a lot of improvement in terms of air quality that I could definitely report back from Ely.
I think we even saw some people going off on a hike behind you. So people are enjoying their time there, even though, we know that these firefighters are working so hard. So Young, thank you so much for making the time, and stay safe.
Thank you, Courtney.
All right, so appreciate that update from northern Minnesota. Let's move on to some other headlines. Just check in on these headlines that are making news across the state and across our region. Strong storms also swept across Wisconsin last night, spawning at least 2 reported tornadoes, but some reports are saying 4 in northeast Wisconsin and other parts of the state. The National Weather Service is surveying damage in parts of Shawano County to determine those if they were indeed tornadoes and what their strength was. The storms also brought damaging winds, large hail, widespread power outages, and with additional damage assessments happening throughout the day today. And a suspect is in custody after 3 people were shot and killed inside a St. Paul apartment leasing office. Police say a 30-year-old man was booked into the Ramsey County Jail and murder charges are pending. Just a short while ago, we got the court documents, those charging documents that detail some of what may have transpired there in that leasing office at that apartment complex. The charging documents detail how the individual had planned on joining the military and was selling their car, so he called the apartment leasing office to cancel payment for his garage space. But the woman told him that it was not possible because of the contract he was in. He says that he went to the leasing office, but then he did not explain what happened after, and soon after asked for an attorney. So the victims in this shooting have now been identified as 25-year-old Nancy Fuentes Zambrano of Inver Grove Heights, 56-year-old Dina Silcox of St. Paul, and 43-year-old Adam Wilwarding of Oakdale. All right. We're also, today, it's worth noting, is the deadline for Minnesotans to pre-register to vote ahead of the August 11th primary election. So today is the deadline. You can still register in person, by mail, through the Secretary of State's office. If you miss today's deadline, you can still register when you vote. at your polling place. Make sure you bring proof of residence when you do that. And Maple Grove has a new leader in their fire department after a major shakeup at the top. Bill Abderhalden is taking over as acting fire chief following the resignation of former Chief Madison Zickmund, who stepped down after being charged in connection with an alleged off-duty incident involving a former department employee. Abderhalden will lead the department as it searches for a permanent chief. As we talked about just a short while ago with the co-executive director of the 3M Open, the golf fans are going to be getting quite the show this weekend as some of the biggest names on the PGA Tour come to Blaine for the 3M Open. Practice rounds started today. Preliminary rounds are tomorrow. The official tournament starts on Thursday. World number one, Scotty Scheffler, is in town. He's headlining the field. He was out there today taking part in those practice rounds. The fans were loving that, according to organizers. But also defending champ Kurt Kitayama is going to be here. So all exciting stuff happening in Blaine this weekend. The organizers also wanted me to mention that on Saturday night, your ticket will get you into the Andy Grammer concert taking place Saturday night. Kara Savage, you're planning on going on Sunday morning to the golf tournament. We're trying to figure out when we can bring the kids because we're taking them to the Twins game on Sunday. But
right.
It's
a busy weekend for you guys.
Listen, let me tell you, we keep these kids active, Kara. You got to do it. You got to do it.
3M Open and a Twins game in one weekend.
Yeah,
lucky them.
Listen,
I mean,
you gotta expose them to all kinds of sports and let them figure out what they like. The opportunity to see Scotty Scheffler play up close is something that I think, in Minnesota we don't get often. It's his first time playing in the 3M Open. It is a unique opportunity to see the best in the world, arguably the best in the world, play. So, pretty exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm very excited. Yeah.
Will some beer be drank on the course, Kara, or are you gonna?
I mean,
just water.
We're gonna get there it's gonna be Sunday, and we're gonna get there quite early in the morning. So I'm not sure when the first beer will be had.
Bloody Marys.
A Sunday morning Bloody Mary. I'm there.
Do you have a favorite golf course drink, Kara?
I'm a transfusion girl, through and through.
I love a transfusion. I was introduced to them a few years ago while playing in a charity golf tournament. My go-to,
so good.
They're so good. Grape juice, ginger ale, and vodka, right?
Yes. Yep, in a lime. Usually in a lime.
Okay.
I was a bartender at a golf course also, so I know all the...
I've also heard that some places make it with grape Gatorade, which is just genius.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Not every bar has grape juice on hand, and...
Well, and grape Gatorade, I mean, get the electrolytes in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a splash of grape juice. Like, it's a very little bit, so...
At least the way you're making
I don't think
Kara.
you're getting any electrolytes.
I like you as my cart girl. My favorite's a bootleg.
Oh, I was just going to say that's my second fave.
Gotta love a bootleg. I
yeah.
usually do half bootleg mix, so it's less sweet, but yeah.
It can get
nothing
sweet.
Beats a bootleg on the course.
Yeah, I agree. Do you get it with, I know that people do vodka or gin.
Or tequila.
Or tequila. Yep.
Very popular with tequila. There was actually where I usually play in Ladies League, we had like a quiz one time, and they asked like, what is the most popular spirit to add into a bootleg? And I thought for sure it was vodka.
I'd say gin.
It was tequila.
Really?
Tequila, at least at this location, tequila was the most popular spirit ordered in a bootleg.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, lime and tequila and...
Yeah, no, I just stick to the traditional vodka.
I'm there. I had at the golf course that I worked at, I had a member that always asked for it with tequila and always asked for it with jalapenos in there.
Oh, that's
so it was like a spicy margarita bootleg.
Yeah, I like it.
I know. He was onto something.
I'm going to take a page out of that guy's book.
Oh, yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks, Kara. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back with a whole lot more. Stay right there. at my calendar here. We are weeks away from the Minnesota State Fair. Okay, like a little over a month, but that's still weeks away. Always bittersweet because it means the end of summer, but also one of our most favorite times of year here in Minnesota, the Great Minnesota Get Together. They just announced all the new beverages and specialty sips that are coming to the State Fair this year. So we got to talk about them. And of course, I got to bring my former cart girl from the golf course onto the screen here, Kira Savage. I mean, you mixed up quite a few drinks in your days as a cart girl.
Yeah.
So I figure you're kind of an expert at this, right?
No, but I know way more about alcohol than I feel like I should just because of that. Like, I don't.
Yeah, totally.
I don't have a large palate or a diverse palate when it comes to alcohol, so.
That's okay.
I just know things.
Well, I don't know.
Well, anyways.
I don't know what kind of palate you need for some of these drinks.
No, I don't think you don't need much.
Lord have mercy. Let's take a look at this first one. Old Ranch
Oh, yeah.
Hand. Okay, it looks like a beer. It's at
Yeah.
Sabino's Pizza Pies in the Lee and Rose Warner Coliseum.
It's a cream ale.
It's a ranch dressing flavored cream ale.
I'm out. I'm sorry.
I don't want to hate it before I try it because
I know.
I really like the pickle beer. The dill pickle beer was absolutty delicious.
That is
love
my
it.
favorite beer at the fair.
It's a great beer. So I don't want to hate on it before I try it. But it says that it blends smooth malt with hints of buttermilk, herbs, and spices, served with a savory ranch-seasoned salt rim.
I mean, that sounds good. I mean, I'm all for a salt rim.
That is,
I'm all for ranch.
So do they just dump out a ranch packet and just...
Probably. I mean...
Interesting.
It worked, I guess, maybe. I'm not a big cream ale person, so I don't think this is for me. But I wish I could just try like a little sample of it.
I'm open to it. All right, let's see the next one. Oh, the Sun Chaser Float. So this is a sweet strawberry and lemonade flavored hard seltzer. Hard seltzer? That looks like ice cream.
It's just a frozen hard seltzer, because they can't have, well, the thing about the fair is they can't have liquor, so everything is malt liquor. Like,
yes.
So it has to be like a seltzer or wine or beer. Well, wine isn't a malt liquor, but yeah, they can't have like vodka.
Sure. It's paired with creamy lemon soft serve made from Minnesota Ice Cream, fabulous ice cream shop out of Northeast. A refreshing one-of-a-kind ice cream float brewed in Champlin, Minnesota by Elm Creek Brewing. So Sun Chaser Float, sweet strawberry lemonade flavor. I have to read it again because I'm like, what am I looking at here, people? I'm looking at it looks like I'm looking at an ice cream sundae, but apparently I'm looking at an alcoholic beverage. There's a lot going on here.
It kind of looks like soft serve. I mean, yeah, it looks delicious.
I don't hate it.
I think this would be very refreshing.
Looks delicious. Looks like a meal. Looks like
Okay, I'm all for this.
Whatever this is, I want it.
So last year, Lulu's Public House had Prize Raspberry Sour as a soft serve.
Huh.
And this year, Prize, not at Lulu's, but this is at the Prize booth, I believe.
I'm seeing, yes, you're right. It's at Prize
so it's
Brewing Company. Yep.
Yeah, so this year they have the raspberry again, but it's twisted with the royal peach. I'm assuming also a sour?
So I'm wondering with this, do you get a buzz off this?
No, I don't think so. I think, I remember I had it once last year and I shared it, so I didn't really get anything out of that.
They're describing it as a soft serve royal peach beer, luscious peach flavors, and a bright, refreshing tartness shine in this fruited sour, now reimagined in irresistible soft serve form. I was reading that straight from the press release, if you couldn't tell.
Of course.
Sound like Vanna White, but
I think this sounds good. Did you have the beer last year?
No.
Okay. My bone to pick with it?
Yeah.
Is that it's ice. It's very icy because it's beer. It's not like a creamy soft serve.
Well, this description claims that it's smooth and creamy.
Yeah, I didn't find it very creamy. It kind of was more sorbet-ish for me. That was the one last year. This could be different. I enjoyed it, but I'm not really into a sorbet on a cone. Something about that doesn't really work for me.
So picky, Kara.
I know. I feel like, okay, but I said that and people I had it with agreed.
Wow. Okay. Show me. Do we have any more to share? There we go. Churro Cream Ale. Ooh, you know what? I could get down with this. churro cream ale, which I don't appear to have any description for. So leave it up to your imagination. It's a churro cream ale. What more do you need to say? Cinnamony, sugar, flavor. Absolutely. This has got to be like drinking a Guinness, though, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's darker.
This will fill you up.
It kind of reminds me of, maybe it's similar to the mini donuts beer that a lot of people know and love.
Ooh, I have not tried that one. That sounds good.
That
Mini
one's been
donut
around
beer?
for a few years. It's pretty good. It is a lighter beer.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if this is just going to be like a darker version of that.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, I like it all. What about, do we have this sangria sundae? Watermelon mule.
Okay, yum. But I think we have the sangria sundae.
Okay, we don't have a photo of the sangria sundae. Apparently the fair did not provide us with a photo of the sangria sundae, but lime and the coconut.
This
hello.
one I cannot get behind.
So this is toasted coconut and fresh lime, which it brings tropical flavor to it's a cream ale. So you know what? I actually like this. It's served with a toasted coconut rim for an extra touch of island-inspired flavor. I like it. It's like a toasted coconut cream ale. But you don't like cream ale, Kara, so you wouldn't like this.
I do. I'll drink one. They're not my favorite. But this is at Giggles, and I always enjoy Giggles beer at the fair. So I feel like I have to give it a try.
Is the name of the brewing company?
No, I'm not sure what the brewing company is. Giggles is the stand.
Okay.
They're the ones that have the pickle beer and the mini donut beer, or not mini donut, the s'mores beer. They're known for their walleye cakes.
Ooh, yum. See, the problem is that I don't have the time or I don't have the mileage to get to all these places, you know? So I miss a lot of this stuff. I feel like you need to go to the fair so many times to get to all of it. All I want is one of these sangria sundaes.
I know. So the sangria sundae, where is it? Can you tell me?
We don't have one. They didn't provide us with a photo. I do see a
think
tropical
it's,
boba burst hazy ale. There's a lot of beer, Kara. I know that the
It's pretty common though.
Right. The Minnesota State Fair really is all about the beer.
Well, they can't have like real cocktails.
Sure.
So some places will say it's
This one. Okay, this is so interesting because boba tea is so popular, right? Like, boba tea is, you're paying $10 for a cup of tea because it's got these bubbles in the bottom that you can pop. It's wild. The kids go crazy over it. Well, this is not for the kids. This is a hazy ale, and it's got blue raspberry popping boba pearls in the bottom. So, you know, you finish the beer and you can get to the pearls at the bottom. So that's a prize brewing company offering at the State Fair. Super fun. Kara's ignoring me.
No, I'm back. Sorry.
Kara has nothing
Technical
to say
issues
about the boba
here.
tea. That's okay. Lots of good stuff coming to the State Fair. I don't know where these people get the time to come up with this stuff and then make it. Especially beer, like, doesn't it take time to make a new flavor? They've probably been working on this stuff for over a year.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure. I think that, you know, this probably starts, it's kind of like on Halloween when you're like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do for my costume, and then you start getting all these ideas on Halloween, maybe?
Truly.
You know, and then they're like, they get ideas at the fair, or people give them ideas, and then they put them in the works right after.
Well, I think I'm going to have to try the ranch flavored beer just to say that I did. So,
yeah. Why not? And the thing is you can get these and share with whoever you're with, so everyone can try a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the ranch beer is at Sabino's Pizza Pie, so we can get a pizza and a ranch beer.
That sounds good. Maybe dip your pizza in your ranch beer.
I am a fan of dipping pizza in ranch.
Same.
So
yeah.
Guilty.
Especially like a frozen pizza at home.
Yeah, just like a horrible $10 pizza.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't call Heggies horrible. But.
Wow, I'm so hungry now. Thank you for that. All right. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back after this. Stay right there. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on All Day Live. I'm Courtney Godfrey. Well, we finally turned down the heat. It was about time. After 10 days straight in the 90s, we're finally sitting comfortable somewhere in the 70s. Maybe, I think we were going to hit the 80s today. The expert joins me now, meteorologist Erica Mrazek. Erica, loving this weather. It's so nice outside.
It's so refreshing after it's been so hot for so many days in a row. There were 10 days with the highs in the 90s, so today it's finally breaking that with below average temperatures, actually. So high so far, 78, and normally it's about 84 degrees. So temperatures not where they've been the past couple of days. And into the rest of your day, it's going to be fairly comfortable. Across the area, high temperatures have been in some places only in the 60s, up towards the north, 78 here in the metro, and no one has hit 80 yet. Pretty close to it in La Crosse at 79, but everyone else still in those 70s. And then at the moment, 78 still in the Twin Cities and still 60s for International Falls, Ely, the Bemidji area, Grand Marais. So it's feeling quite nice if you don't like the heat. It feels very mild outside. But overall, some partly cloudy skies. It is dry on the cool side today as well as for tomorrow. And then after that, temperatures get to near normal for Thursday, Friday. So what that means are your mid 80s for the highs, right where they should be for the middle to end of July. And then after that is when they start to get warmer again. So the heat will be coming back. That's going to be on the weekend. So by Saturday, Sunday, expect highs in the 90s and also lots of sunshine, a few passing clouds at times. But overall, the 7-day forecast is looking quite dry at the moment. So just increasing temperatures and some quiet weather after a windy day today, Courtney. And that's basically it. So pretty quiet pattern overall. Courtney.
Hey, Erica, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Nice to see those temperatures cool down. I do want to ask you before you go, because we've been talking about these wildfires, do we have any precipitation in the forecast for northern Minnesota that may help in these firefighting efforts?
There's not much. There is a chance towards the weekend for there to be what they call a ridge rider, which is whenever, so basically we're going to have an area of high pressure for the middle end of the week, which is keeping most of the region dry. But since we're on the northern end of it, you could get these little disturbances through the top of the pattern. So it could bring a small chance for a few showers, but really overall chances for rain looking low, which I mean is good because then you don't have the lightning, but then you also want the rain to help with the fires. So overall, not too much. It's looking more dry than wet.
All right. They could use all the help they could get up there. So thanks, Erica. Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Just want to check in quickly on some headlines that we've been following throughout the day. We had some updates on some stories that we've been covering. So we had a St. Paul shooting that killed 3 people inside a St. Paul apartment complex leasing office. We did get our hands on the charging documents today that say that that individual, the 30-year-old man who was booked on murder charges, tried to cancel payment for a garage space and was denied before that shooting happened. The other thing that's worth mentioning is today, Rain nightclub in Uptown, where 9 people were shot over the weekend. The Business, Housing, and Zoning Committee today in Minneapolis postponed renewing the liquor license. They plan to look over 911 calls and assess that location, whether they want to give them a liquor license after the violence that occurred over the weekend. That's going to do it for us here on All Day Live. We return tomorrow at 11. I take over here at 2 o'clock. We hope to see you then. Bye-bye.